man. They gonna take everybody. Yeah. Everybody, trust the preparation and trust what the we did to get here. It don't take too much. Everybody be themselves tonight. Stay together and go out there and dominate. One thing is dominate. Dominate on what do.
There's absolutely no question about it. Out of every single game on our schedule this season as a Dallas Cowboy fan, this one was the most significant one against a very good Philadelphia Eagles team that has been proven to be more than capable of defeating very good football teams. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! I haven't proved myself to you at this point, then check this out. On Thursday Night Football, these are all the people that made money by following my prize picks for free on Instagram. I give out my picks for free each and every night, and if you end up tailing me and hit green, I shout you out like this. Right now, when you use my promo code Mikerophone, you could double your deposit up until $100 on prize picks. And thank you, prize picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? At this point, you all know I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, but usually I'll get all of my bias out of the way on either Twitter or Instagram, and I'll give you my unbiased analysis whenever it comes to breaking down the game on this YouTube channel. And in the case of the Philadelphia Eagles, I have a lot of respect for how aggressive they've been in building a contender around Jalen Hurts during his rookie scale contract. It seems like ever since this team drafted Devontae Smith, it's been trending in the right direction. During the 2022 NFL draft, they famously pulled off one of the biggest fleeces in the NFL for that year by trading the 17th overall pick in that draft, which became Treylon Burks, for A.J. Brown. And it seemed like from that point and on, they were just on a roll with making great decisions. For instance, they signed Hassan Reddick in free agency, who in 2022 came up with 16 sacks. They started this fascination with the Georgia Bulldogs defense by drafting Jordan Davis in the 2022 NFL draft, Kobe Dean later on in that same NFL draft, and then in the 2023 NFL draft, it just got way scarier. They lost arguably one of their best defensive players in Javon Hargrave, so they traded within the top 10 of the NFL draft and selected Jalen Carter, a player who many people had as the top overall pick on their draft boards. And then the fascination with Georgia continued. They drafted Nolan Smith later on in that same draft. They traded DeAndre Swift to replace Miles Sanders. And from that point on, it seemed like this team was just consistently making intelligent decisions for themselves, and they're constantly reloading. Like earlier in the offseason, they signed Terrell Edmonds to replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. When they saw that wasn't working out, well, they were aggressive once again and they traded for Kevin Byard. That's not all they did. We all know A.J. Brown's absolutely in love with Julio Jones. It's been this way since he was on the Tennessee Titans. You guys remember this TikTok of A.J. Brown recruiting Julio Jones to the Titans, right?
Julio! That's what they're gonna say when you make a catch, when you make a touchdown. They don't even do that for me. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. And look what I'm wearing. Your first Titan jersey. I haven't even been released yet. Okay, I'm gonna sell you on some things right here. Listen to me closely. You have Tannehill, Mr. Finger Roll himself. Every time, Air Hill. Listen, he does what he needs to be done. Like, he's a leader. He's a great passer. He's it. Anyway, next. Him, behind me, superhuman. We don't even have to discuss him. He speaks for himself. Look how mean he look in the picture. Like, okay. Then me, I'm up and coming. Pro Bowl year 2. Not a big deal. Kind of a big deal, but not really. Okay, scratch that. Anyway, whatever. You, the GOAT of our era, of our receivers. Help me, help you. Come home, Julio. Come home.
Next thing you know, they're bringing in Julio Jones just to have a veteran locker room presence that everyone respects. They currently run the most unstoppable play in football, which is everybody on the Eagles offense shoving Jalen Hurts' butt cheeks into the end zone or 2 to 3 yards. And recently, their culture has been so dominant that when Shaq Leonard became a free agent, he straight up said that he was choosing between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and he was going to select the team that he felt was the most likely to win a Super Bowl. And he went to the Eagles. And if Shaq Leonard's even 60% of the player that he once was, then this is a home run signing. I've said in my last video on this topic that from week 9 to week 14, the Philadelphia Eagles have the most difficult stretch of games of their season, facing off against the Dallas Cowboys, then the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, and San Francisco 49ers, before facing the Cowboys again. Coming into this matchup versus the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles won 3 out of 4 of those games. Now, if you really want to be a hater, you could say that they got lucky in those games. I mean, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs because Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped a wide open pass from Patrick Mahomes. I guess you can make an argument that Jalen Hurts still would have had time to conduct one more drive and try to get the Philadelphia Eagles to score. Against the Buffalo Bills, Gabe Davis and Josh Allen had a huge miscommunication on an option play that forced them to kick a field goal and allowed Philadelphia Eagles to drive the ball all the way in overtime and score the game-winning touchdown. And against the San Francisco 49ers, they got clapped, which going into this game resulted in some people thinking that maybe the blueprint is out on Jalen Hurts. After all, Nick Bosa said this.
Yeah, I mean, you see it on tape, though. And then, obviously, we put the blueprint out there. Hopefully, Cowboys watch the tape. We made Jalen stay in the pocket and escape outside instead of those B-gaps, and paid off. Because Jalen's looking at the rush every play. So, yeah, you just have to be disciplined and not give him that quick escape route where he could get to his guys quick.
It's also kind of funny because Lane Johnson kind of dominated Nick Bosa, and it's not like Jalen Hurts had a bad game against the San Francisco 49ers either. He threw for almost 300 passing yards, and he still had 27 yards rushing, but the San Francisco 49ers came out with the W. That being said, other storylines going into this game for the Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles included the fact that Dom DeSandro was banned from the sideline. Yeah, this guy went absolutely viral as a result of his altercation with Dre Greenlaw, which you could either say that Dom DeSandro was in the wrong or Dre Greenlaw was in the wrong. It really comes down to which team you're supporting at that point. I thought it was a very random beef, but it had a very significant outcome. Dre Greenlaw was kicked out of the game as a result of it. So there's no Dom DeSandro in this particular game.
Cut it out! I'm just trying to live my life. No one taught me about carbs.
And probably the most significant part about this game was the story of Micah Parsons, who coming into this game was playing with a huge illness. So without a doubt, the Cowboys' best player was going to be playing hampered. Cowboys have been averaging 42 points per game since their Week 9 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now it's the Dallas Cowboys' turn to undergo their most difficult stretch of the season. First, they take on the Philadelphia Eagles today, and they face off against the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, then the Detroit Lions, before finishing off the season versus the Washington Commanders. My personal critique on the Dallas Cowboys is I still need to see my favorite team beat the crap out of a really good team. The last time we faced a really good team was the Philadelphia Eagles, and we came within a few inches of defeating them in particular cases. I honestly think that game could have gone either way, and we've played very, very well the last time we faced off against them. But the fact of the matter is we faced off against the Eagles, we lost to them. A few weeks prior, we got spanked by the San Francisco 49ers, and we haven't really had the opportunity to play a really good playoff caliber team since. I guess our best opponent since those two games would probably be the Seattle Seahawks, which we defeated 41-35 in an incredible shootout, which also had me a little concerned that we allowed the Seattle Seahawks to drop 35 on us. But with all that being said, the Dallas Cowboys came into this game favored by 3. So how would it go? So the Dallas Cowboys clearly wanted to come into this game making a statement. If they're able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, they're able to tie with them for first in the NFC East. Their chances of winning the NFC East shoot up to about 30%, primarily because of other tiebreakers between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And it seemed like that was on the forefront of the Cowboys' mind to start this game. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys offense came out guns blazing and immediately were able to march down the field to score a touchdown on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now look, on this YouTube channel, I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, but I will admit, I think Jordan Davis might have been held by Tyler Smith as Dak Prescott was scrambling to the left to find CeeDee Lamb for the first touchdown of the game. The Philadelphia Eagles defense has been on a cold streak recently. This is a defense that's allowed the opposing offense to score a touchdown on 9 out of 10 of their last drives, with the other time being a field goal. And it seemed like this became a trend as the game continued. Jalen Hurts would drive the football all the way to the Dallas Cowboys 21 before fumbling the football. Now the Cowboys would get the ball back, and that would result in a field goal, continuing the streak that the Philadelphia Eagles defense allowed for opposing opposing offenses. And while the Philadelphia Eagles would answer with a field goal of their own, the Cowboys would get the football back, once again march all the way down the field, and finish with a 1-yard Rico Dowdle touchdown. The Cowboys would get the football back one more time. They would drive down the field, eventually finding Brandon Cooks for a 30-yard gain before finding Michael Gallup for a 1-yard touchdown as well, putting the Cowboys up 24-6 at the half. And a huge storyline is what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, particularly their defense. At that point, the Eagles have been outscored 66-19 in the last 5 quarters of football, and this is a very significant game for them, more significant than their matchup against the San Francisco 49ers was last week. Now, I will admit, it appears as though Micah Parsons was held on this Jalen Hurts sweep to the right, but I feel like a common theme in the NFL today is the fact that the referees are terrible. I think that's one thing each and every single fan of football can agree on. I don't think there's a single person that's going to go into my comment section right now and say,
Mike, I think the referees are doing an exquisite job.
we're going to bring you guys a deep dive on what happened with Patrick Mahomes versus the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that this has been a common theme in every football game, and in this particular instance, I saw it happen on both sides. The first one obviously being on the first Cowboys touchdown where Jordan Davis was held, and then of course Micah Parsons being held as he's trying to get to Jalen Hurts here. One of the best parts about this game was how chippy things were between Stephon Gilmore and AJ Brown. It was just classic mind games from a eventual Hall of Famer and, well, AJ Brown. Jokes aside, Stephon Gilmore was doing his absolute best to lock down AJ Brown, and to be honest, if you ask me, given how explosive AJ Brown can be, I would say that he was winning. And this was exemplified by the start of the third quarter. The Philadelphia Eagles would drive all the way down to Dallas's 44 before Stephon Gilmore would strip the ball from AJ Brown and get it for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys and Eagles would go 3 and out, but the next time the Cowboys had the ball,
they would make their biggest mistake of the game.
or actually, if we're being real, it was just a remarkable defensive play. Fletcher Cox would strip sack Dak Prescott, and Jalen Carter would recover the football and take it all the way to the house for the Philadelphia Eagles' first touchdown of the game. Now, the Cowboys would get another remarkable field goal from Brandon Aubrey, who clearly does look like a star given how his first field goal was 60 yards and his second field goal was 59 yards, which are the 2 furthest kicks that he's ever kicked in his career so far. And while there were people wondering whether or not the Cowboys were losing their momentum to the Philadelphia Eagles, every single time the Philadelphia Eagles got something going for themselves on offense, the Cowboys would stop them, and that was the theme of this game. In the very beginning of this game, they drove all the way down to the red zone and would fumble the football. Right when they would get the ball back at the end of the half, Stephon Gilmore would strip AJ Brown of the football and he would fumble the football. And then once again, when it seemed like there was like no hope left in the game and the Cowboys were up 30-13 and the Eagles really had to get their shit together for any chance of turning around their momentum, which already was a long shot, they fumbled the football one more time. And this time it would be Devontae Smith that would turn the football over. And it seemed like this was the theme for the Philadelphia Eagles the whole night. They would get some momentum on offense. They would make some big plays on offense periodically, but they just weren't able to close out drives. The Dallas Cowboys defense was the very definition of bend but don't break. And they would go on to win this game, which is very significant considering the fact that this is the best win the Cowboys have had all season long, against their best opponent all season long. And the first time these two faced off against each other, it was very, very close. And it really came down to a game of inches, but they were in the game the whole time. But in this particular game, the Cowboys defense dominated throughout. Dak Prescott clearly outdueled Jalen Hurts. And to be honest, the Eagles were embarrassed on national television. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, let me know right now, are you a little concerned? Because just being impartial here, you go up against the Kansas City Chiefs and a Marquez Valdez-Scantling drop is the reason why you end up winning the game. You go up against the Buffalo Bills, and because of a miscommunication between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, you were able to get the ball back, drive up the field, and win that game in overtime. Against the San Francisco 49ers, you get obliterated, and against the Dallas Cowboys, it seems like you couldn't get anything going for yourselves offensively at all. And defensively, you were getting exposed as well. Although defensively, they were able to score a touchdown. All I know is December is the best time to start getting hot and the worst time to start getting cold. And in the case of the Philadelphia Eagles, they might be getting a little cold here. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about all this? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.